Have you ever wondered why you react so intensely to seemingly normal situations? Why a casual comment from a colleague keeps you awake all night? Why you always feel like you're not good enough, no matter how successful you become? The answer doesn't lie in the present. It lies deep within the room of the child you once were, where invisible wounds were created, and now they're silently controlling every decision in your life. Today, we'll explore the invisible threads pulling you back to the past, and more importantly, how to cut them free.
Here's the truth no one wants to tell you. A child's brain is like wet cement. Everything that happens in those early years, every word, every action, every emotional moment gets carved deep and hardens into permanent patterns. In psychology, this is called attachment theory, the theory of how we form bonds with our caregivers from childhood and how these bonds shape every relationship that follows. When you were 7 years old and no one picked you up from school, your little brain didn't understand traffic jams or work emergencies. It only learned one lesson. I don't matter. I can be left behind. When you were 9 years old and got scolded for a bad grade, your brain couldn't distinguish between behavior and identity. It recorded, I am a failure. I must be perfect to be loved. When you were 10 years old and your parents fought, your small brain couldn't understand that these were adult problems. Instead, it created a story. It's my fault. I wasn't good enough to keep my family happy. And here's the terrifying part. These stories don't disappear when you grow up. They become the hidden operating system of your life, what psychologists call core beliefs. Now, at 25, 30, or 40, you're still living by the rules that a 7-year-old created to survive. You avoid conflict because you're afraid of breaking everything. You work yourself to exhaustion because you believe your worth depends on your achievements. You don't dare love fully because you fear abandonment. This is what experts call emotional triggers, emotional activations from the past that are controlling your present reactions. The child within you is still trying to protect you with strategies it learned 20, 30 years ago. But those strategies are now destroying the life you're trying to build.
You might not realize it, but those wounds from childhood are manifesting through every aspect of your daily life. Let's explore the signs you may have become so familiar with that you consider them part of your personality. In relationships, the first pattern is people-pleasing. You always say yes, even when you want to say no. You're more afraid of disappointing others than hurting yourself. This stems from the deep belief that I'm only loved when I'm useful. The second pattern is fear of abandonment. You cling to relationships, even unhealthy ones. You'd rather endure poor treatment than face being alone. This is an echo from those times you felt left behind as a child. And the third pattern is boundary difficulties. You don't know how to say no without feeling guilty. Or conversely, you build high walls to protect yourself, making it hard for others to get close. In career, pattern 1, extreme perfectionism. You work yourself to exhaustion because you're afraid of being seen as not good enough. Every small mistake makes you feel like your entire worth is being questioned. Pattern 2, imposter syndrome. No matter how successful you become, you still feel like a fraud about to be discovered. You believe your success is just luck, not real ability. Pattern 3, difficulty with feedback. Every criticism, even constructive ones, feels like a personal attack.
This is because the inner child can't distinguish between behavior that needs improvement and I am a bad person.
In daily life, the first pattern could be chronic overthinking. You overanalyze every social interaction. Why did they say that? Did I do something wrong? This is how the inner child tries to predict and control the environment to avoid getting hurt. Or in pattern 2, emotional overwhelm. Small emotions can trigger big reactions. A casual comment can keep you awake all night because it activates the entire danger system your brain learned as a child. These patterns don't just affect your emotions, they have real costs in your life. Impact on relationships. When you're always people-pleasing, you attract those who are willing to take advantage. People who truly care about you may feel frustrated because they never know who the real you is. When you fear abandonment, you might become clingy or jealous, pushing others away, creating the very thing you fear most. Impact on your career. Perfectionism can cause you to miss deadlines because you're trying to make everything perfect. Or you avoid new opportunities because you're afraid you won't do well from the start. Imposter syndrome prevents you from negotiating salary, applying for higher positions, or speaking up in meetings, limiting your career growth. Impact on health. Chronic stress from always being on guard can lead to anxiety disorders, depression, sleep problems, and even physical health issues like headaches and digestive problems. Emotional overwhelm can cause you to turn to unhealthy coping mechanisms, overworking, overeating, substance use, or social withdrawal. Impact on your self-worth. Perhaps the biggest cost is losing connection with your authentic self. You live the life of who everyone wants you to be instead of who you really are.
Mindset Shift 1. Emotional awareness.
Every time you have an overly intense emotional reaction to a situation, pause and ask, does this feel familiar? When have I felt this way before? This is precisely the mindful self-observation technique that therapists use. Usually, current emotions are only 10% about the present situation and 90% about old wounds being triggered. When your boss criticizes you, the pain doesn't just come from that criticism. It comes from every time you felt not good enough since childhood. Start saying, "This is my inner child reacting. The adult in me will handle this situation."
Mindset Shift 2. Narrative therapy. The stories your inner child created to explain the world aren't truth. They're just how an immature mind tried to understand complex situations. In psychology, changing these stories is called cognitive restructuring, restructuring cognition. I'm not loved can become my parents were struggling with their own issues. I'm not good enough can become I was a child learning in an adult world. I must be perfect can become I am loved for who I am, not for what I do.
Mindset Shift 3. Inner parent work.
The child within you needs a trustworthy adult to feel safe, and that person is you. This is a powerful technique in inner child therapy. Start talking to your inner child like you would to a real child who's scared. You're okay. I'll protect you. You don't need to worry about adult problems anymore. When you feel triggered, take a deep breath and say, I'm grown up now. I can handle this situation. I am safe.
Mindset Shift 4. Self-compassion.
The child within you did everything it could to survive in circumstances it couldn't control. The patterns it created, though they may be harmful now, all came from love and the desire to be safe. Dr. Kristen Neff, an expert on self-compassion, has proven that treating yourself kindly is the key to healing. Instead of being angry with yourself for irrational reactions, thank your inner child. Thank you for trying so hard to protect us. I've got it from here. Healing isn't about getting over the past. It's about integrating the past into a new story, a story of resilience, growth, and self-love.
Recognizing these patterns is an important first step, but sometimes awareness alone isn't enough. Signs you should consider therapy are when these patterns significantly impact your quality of life, when you feel stuck despite trying to change, when you have thoughts of self-harm or feel hopeless, when relationships or work performance are seriously affected. Types of therapy that can help are trauma-informed therapy, which helps process childhood experiences safely, cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, which helps identify and change negative thought patterns. EMDR therapy is particularly effective for trauma processing. Remember, seeking help isn't weakness, it's courage. Just like you'd see a doctor when you injure your leg, mental health also deserves professional care when needed. Your past doesn't define you, but it has shaped you. And now, with this understanding, you have the power to reshape yourself. The child within you has carried these wounds for years, waiting for someone to heal them. It turns out that someone is you. You can't change what happened, but you can change how it affects your future. You can become the parent, the friend that your inner child always needed. If this resonates with your heart, take a moment today to tell your inner child, "You did very well. Let me take it from here." That might be the first step to freeing yourself from the invisible chains you've carried your whole life.
May you heal from the painful parts of your past and find the peace you deserve in your life.